Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Gaming. I'm Nathan, and today I'm going to tell you if this game's with their time and bandwidth.
Today's game is Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. The alleged definitive edition of a much-changed game is Ninja Gaiden Black. True to Itakagi's vision? Let's find out. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is the modern remaster of 2008's Xbox 360 exclusive Ninja Gaiden 2, which was heavily modified into the controversial Sigma 2, which has seen a handful of re-releases since. It's going to be hard to review Black without covering differences, so first I'll speed through what Ninja Gaiden 2 is across all iterations. You are Ninja Ryo Hayabusa, tasked with killing an archfiend as well as about 1 billion dudes. The game fundamentally is like a highly technical hack and slash with DNA probably closest to something more like Devil May Cry than God of War. Your kit is robust. You have 9 weapons that all play differently, as well as 2 ranged weapons and shurikens, in addition to a handful of magic spells. You have your usual light and heavy combo chains to execute, and a particularly important ultimate attack that can be done by charging heavy. A core mechanic in all versions of 2 is dismemberment and execution. Delimbing is a term where you knock one arm or a leg off a foe, with the odds of it happening based on the weapon you're using, the combo, etc. Wounded enemies get more frantic and scarier, but then you can execute them with an obliteration technique, which is just pressing heavy. This means you can end fights with harder foes by knowing how to quickly cut a limb off. There's tons of enemies of various sizes, as well as a whole host of bosses of frankly varying quality, with the duel-like fights being highlights and the big beastie things less interesting. You also play as 3 of the lady ninjas from the series in their own chapters, which is a passable diversion at best. Ultimately, Black has more Sigma DNA than the original 2, though they clearly listened to fans and bring back things they complained about. Delimbing was very hard in Sigma due to reduced enemy counts, but to my untrained hand, it felt a lot better in Black. The blood and gore, which was removed in Sigma, is now back in spades, making combat much more viscerally enjoying, and all the quality of life improvements from Sigma, like no longer having to hunt key cards, are here as well. Also, upgrades cost currency rather than being timed handouts, meaning it's easier to main a weapon early. They also cut crap from Sigma like the statue fights nobody liked, as well as keeping nice stuff like infinite ammo. Sadly, enemy density hasn't been increased to make it a true revival of 2. I'm sure YouTubers with more time and skill than me will analyze the differences in great detail. Suffice to say, this is an attempt to hybridize Sigma and Vanilla into the ultimate version of Ninja Gaiden 2, with the added bonus of looking very pretty. So what do I like about Ninja Gaiden 2 Black? Well, Ninja Gaiden 2 continues to be one of the most visceral, brutal, and engaging action games ever made, and very satisfying to master, and the high number of weapons make each run feel unique. Additionally, Black's changes are across-the-board improvements from Sigma 2. Blood and Guts, the much better weapon upgrade system, better delimbing, and of course, spruced up visuals and frame rate make for smart iteration on the formula, though some of the lighting I thought got a little more boring. And lastly, it maintains the accessibility features of Sigma designed to help new players, such as hero mode and clear tutorials. I mentioned this because after playing all 3 variants back to back, Black is by far the one I'd recommend to newcomers who want to learn to enjoy this fantastic game. When it comes to the bad, my biggest complaint is despite being the Black of 2, it's more Sigma. I'd have loved a bonus mode or toggle for Vanilla Edition that dropped enemy health and upped enemy spawns like the OG game, and Black in terms of game feel is definitely more Sigma than Vanilla. On that note, Vanilla and Sigma weren't exactly well balanced, and from what I can tell, Black does little to change that. Flying Swallow still dominates early difficulties, Izuna Drop still one-shots humanoid enemies, and weapons still have clear winners and losers. And lastly, there's plenty of crappy parts from both Sigma and 2 still here. Platforming and especially the swimming feels very clunky. There's some poor enemy spawns and bosses. I hate the ghost fish and their boss in particular, many of which should have probably been spruced up. And you still can't skip the Ninja Girl chapters, which really should have just been optional. As you know, I rank it on a 3-point scale. Must play, maybe consider, and don't bother. And Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is a clear attempt to show fans that they were listening to all their complaints about Sigma 2. As someone who recently played through both Vanilla 2 and Sigma 2 last year, I think they did a damn fine job with Black, all things considered. At worst, it's at least leagues better than Sigma 2, and at best, it's an excellent entry point into the series, with generally more polish across the board and some of the best bits of the franchise. While I'm not shelving my backwards compat copy of Ninja Gaiden 2 Vanilla anytime soon, I can still heartily recommend Black to both fans and newcomers alike. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you played the Ninja Gaiden 2 games, I definitely want to hear your hot takes on all the different versions. I find it fascinating. So let me know in the comments, and regardless, go out there and make sure you play Ninja Gaiden 2 Black.